first of all, I want to start with the major issue that we have on ground, and that was the video that was released from the young core member. First of all, what I want to know is what were your thoughts when you first of all saw the video, and looking at the way she expressed herself? There was a lot of emotion in that video, and there's been a lot of comments on the way she put forward her grievances. But when you saw the video, what first of all came to your mind? I just want to know just a bit of your reaction on the video and the grievances she expressed in the video.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, we need to look at these things from different angles, from legal, from social angle, and also from regulatory angle. Now, if she wasn't a core member with NYSC, no issue about regulatory. We just look at legal and social. But because she's a core member, you know. But first, it's important to establish that the freedom of everyone is probably their biggest identity and the biggest property that you can have, and nobody should be stripped of that, irrespective of the government and the form of the party or whatever. However, so it now comes to how you express your grievance. What she has said are obvious truth, but maybe I would have passed the message better. The same message, but maybe I would have passed it better.
All right, thank you. And let me come to you, Jeff. Just a bit of your thoughts when you saw the video. How do you assess the way she brought forward her grievances on social media?
Well, I was excited, if I'm to say the truth. I was excited for once, being someone who has fought a lot for social accountability in Nigeria, being someone who has stood in front of security operatives, tear gassed in this country, handcuffed and taken to unknown destination just because I dared to fight for those who cannot voice out themselves. I can tell you that I was happy when I saw that particular video. It tells me that there are people who are ready to carry the torch and move on from where some of us stopped. Not that we have stopped advocating, but we want other Nigerians to come up and also fight for what we're fighting for. So when I saw the video, I was excited for the fact that in Nigeria today, people barely speak up because of intimidation or whatnot. But right now, we have people who are coming out to speak truth to power. So it made me happy. And honestly, I found no grouse at all with the languages she used, because she never insulted the president. She only said terrible president. She didn't say that Tinubu, you are a terrible human being. She didn't say that Tinubu, you are an idiot. She didn't use any of those languages.
Tinubu being the president. Yeah, but
Sorry,
Tinubu being the president, if she says you are a terrible president, that is a direct insult to who holds that power of office, that place of office. So if you say it's not an insult to him directly, how do you qualify that? Because she said, Tinubu, you are a terrible president. And most people will say that's an insult. So how do you mean that that's not necessarily an insult?
No, what she did was to talk about the responsibility of the president. When you cannot, an adjective is an adjective. You use it to describe something. When you describe the incapacity of someone who is holding a particular office and the person cannot execute what the person needs to execute, you can use an adjective to describe that person's inefficiency in that office. She didn't insult Tinubu. In fact, a lot of people will tell you that she was very, very mild in her language. And also, I want to correct an impression. That she is a core member does not exclude her from anything that pertains to Nigeria. She's a human being, number one, then she's a citizen of this country, and then she's covered within our constitution. And the last I remember, the constitution takes preponderance upon any other law or any bylaw or whatever it is that is an agreement or whatever it is that exists. So the constitution takes supreme upon any of these things. So I don't see what Rita did as being wrong. Some people might say, yes, she must have, she may have used a subtle language, but the question is this: when these people who are in authority are dealing with us, are they being subtle in their actions against us? Are they being subtle? So why is it that it's just like, Donald Trump said, I'm sorry to bring him into this conversation, when an armed robber, a hardened criminal, killed somebody, and then the police arrest the person, and then they want to put him in a vehicle, they'll be saying, watch your head, watch your head. This is somebody that's just murdered somebody. So we cannot live in a country where we have been brutalized in the worst way possible, and then when we want to now air our grievance, we will now start watching the languages that we use. This is not a military republic. I am sorry, this is not, but that is what they are turning it
definitely,
into.
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that interesting perspective, Jeff. Let me come to you now, Taufik. Of course, we've heard the different sides, but want to analyze the swift response and action. Like Jeff is pointing out to the fact that the way they have been treating us has not been easy. It's been brutal. So why should we give them back a brutal response to their policy? So now let's analyze the swift response and actions taken by the NYSC board against this core member, because as soon as the video gained traction online, and then comparing it to the way Nigerians have been treated in the past by authorities, especially when they speak out on the harsh realities that they face. For instance, we had a couple of protests last year, the End Bad Governance, and some women also in the north that came out to speak against the protest and the speak against the harsh realities that they're facing. They all got arrested. Some were, of course, brutalized. We don't even know if some have been, killed. We don't even have all the full information on everything that happened to those people. So now, Jeff was getting to that. I want to know, based on this reaction towards the core member, and looking at the way this administration has handled issues when it comes to citizens voicing out their opinions, voicing out their grievances on the policies that they are facing, on the issues that they are facing as regards the government policies. Do you think that we're slowly getting into the militarization of democracy? Because this is a democratic system that we're running. But Jeff was getting to that, but I want to hear your thoughts on that as well. Looking at the response that this core member was given, do you think that this administration is moving towards an authoritarian, way of leading?
Yeah, so I think your first speaker alluded to the point initially, which was to do with the legal side of things. So if she has sort of like fallen foul of the law in terms of her conduct being an NYSC member, then that should be addressed, because we need order in our society anyway. But there is a more fundamental problem with the society at large, which is the fact that governments get into office to provide certain services to the people. And if they have not done that, then people are entitled to speak up, because after all, they elected them into offices for a particular purpose. And if they've not done that, then people have the right to speak up and to rebel against the government. But order is very important in a society. With regards to the use of the sort of like authority in terms of pushing back against people who speak against the government, that is something that needs to be decided in terms of what is required to maintain order within the society, because we don't want things to get out of hand. But the swift response is clearly selective in its approach, because you saw the way Showore was treated, and you see the way Nnamdi Kanu has been treated as well. And that is a completely different thing to members of governments who have been in the past, have embezzled money, and they seem to be rolling into the high court in their fancy cars, and nothing seems to be done to them. So that seems to be a double standard in terms of the way the law is being applied. But that is a more fundamental issue with regards to the entire society. But we must not deviate from the fact that we require order in the society in terms of how we look in the international community as well. So we must approach this with a balanced measure, and we must also stay within the bounds of the law in terms of how we pursue this issue. And this is where most of the legal professionals in the society come into play, whereby they can address these issues through the courts by coming behind this young lady and defending her in a way that shows that things still work within the society and there's still room for order in the society, as opposed to maybe taking to the streets or taking more extreme measures. That would be my position on that.